Tell me what's going on.
Well, I recently bought it. The previous owner told me they thought it needed a new fuel pump. That didn't end up being the case. I initially sprayed some starter fluid into the throttle body, and it didn't crank at all, or it didn't turn over at all.
Okay.
So I figured I'm not getting any sparks. I've replaced the camshaft position sensor because that's the only code that it was still giving me. I've checked power to that wire harness. I'm getting power at the wire harness. I'm getting power to the ignition coils, but they're not sparking.
And I'm
I
sorry.
don't know if it's an ignition module or...
Did you say you checked or replaced the crankshaft position sensor?
I replaced that one also.
So the cam sensor was replaced and the crank sensor was replaced. Is that correct?
Yes, and power to both of those.
Do you know if the engine has injector pulse when cranking?
That I don't know.
Okay. Have you checked engine compression?
In a roundabout way, I left the coil and plug out of one of the holes and was able to feel pressure coming through there while cranking.
Have we checked the timing marks?
No.
So if the engine's out of time, it won't fire spark because the computer's confused. So I would make sure that the engine's in time. I would check the timing marks. Make sure that the wiring to and from the cam and the crank sensor are good and going back to the computer. And then what you could do is you could actually check engine RPM on your scan tool while cranking it over using a compatible scan tool. Have you checked for codes?
Okay. I checked codes, I cleared them, and then I tried cranking it and checked it again, and the only one that was still showing up was the camshaft sensor code.
And you replace that and the code still comes back, is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, it's possible that, let's just say that the engine's out of time. So you clear the codes, and then you go to crank it. The crankshaft spins, but not the camshaft. And then it will set that code because the camshaft isn't turning. This is a V6 engine, so we got two camshafts. So whatever camshaft, is this in the front of the engine or the back of the engine?
What's that?
Is the camshaft, does it monitor the front camshaft towards the front of the vehicle or in the back?
The sensor that I replaced toward the front.
So it's possible that that camshaft isn't turning. It's possible both camshafts aren't turning, but we don't know. We've got to pull the timing cover. You haven't pulled the timing cover quite yet?
No.
Well, you might want to check engine RPM with a scanner first before you pull the timing cover.
And I'm guessing I'll have to pull the cover in order to check the timing marks.
Well, you could put the number one piston at top dead center, and if you might be able to get away with just pulling the top covers on the camshafts, and those marks should line up in the top part of the timing cover. Those marks should line up when the number one piston's at top dead center. I should say they should line up when the engine's at top dead center, the number one piston's at top dead center, and the intake valve is about to go down because it's going to start the four-stroke sequence. So the intake stroke. So those at that point, if you have the number one piston at top dead center and those marks don't line up, then what you would do is you just rotate the crankshaft 360 degrees. The camshafts go half the speed the crank. So if you rotate the crank 360, the camshafts are going to go 180, and then it should line up then. But if they don't, then it's out of time. But if the timing belt jumped time, or if it's broke, you're going to see it when you pull open the timing cover. Now it's possible.
Right.
Sometimes it breaks way down at the crankshaft, and you won't necessarily see it, I suppose, at first when you pull the time for the front timing covers. It depends how it breaks. But it's possible the bottom half of the engine's rotating, but the top half is not. When you pull off one of the timing covers, you could have an assistant crank it over while you watch to see if the camshaft is rotating as the engine is cranking.
Mechanic friend of mine said that if I was getting compression, then the timing belt shouldn't be broken, but...
Not necessarily. So, for example, let me explain. So let's just say number one piston. The camshaft broke. The timing belt broke. But where it broke, the camshaft is where it's sitting. Both the intake and the exhaust valve are closed. And they're not going to move when you crank it because the timing belt broke. So as the piston goes up and down, it'll still produce compression. So that's not 100% true.
Do you know, I know that the previous owner said that the car stalled out while they were driving, and then they never got it to start again. And then they said that when it stalled, it just seemed like it ran out of gas. That's why they thought it was the fuel pump. So I've never experienced a timing belt break. Would you hear any specific noises or anything? if a timing belt broke while you were driving?
You may or may not. It depends on how it breaks. If it's just the belt and nothing else breaks in the front cover or inside the engine, nothing collides with itself, well then no, you probably wouldn't. The engine would just stall.
I've seen conflicting information on the internet as to whether this is an interference engine or not.
Let me take a look here for you. Hang on.
One pretty reliable looking source says it's not, so.
Look here, hang on. Let's see if I got this info for you. I thought these engines were, but... Well, my info doesn't say, so I would just be careful regardless, right, if it's out of time. Now, once you get the timing belt back on and the marks are lined up, then at that point, if you don't have compression, well, then it's possible the valves are bent. Unfortunately, I don't remember off the top of my head if this particular engine is an interference engine or not. I thought most Mitsubishis were, but I can do some digging here, and if I come across anything that's, I could say with confidence it's correct, I'll definitely send it over your way.
So I tried looking, and I've seen forums with mechanics insisting that it is, and then I've seen other information. I can't remember the name of the website it was, but it seemed like a pretty reliable source saying that no, I haven't been able to figure that out myself. With the type of luck I usually have, it is an interference engine, and the timing belt broke. And
it says check the timing marks of the crankshaft sprocket and the camshaft sprocket are aligned with the number 1 at top dead center of the compression stroke. If they are not, align the timing marks again. Pay attention to the interference between the valve and the piston. That's all it says. Inspect the timing belt on each sprocket following sequence. So it doesn't say yes or no, but this would suggest that it is saying pay attention to the interference between the valve and the piston. Any other questions while we're on the phone, my friend?
Not right now. I'll go see what I can do with this list of things that you gave me, and I was hoping maybe it'd be something as simple as a bad ignition module.
I'm not even showing an ignition module on here.
Oh, that would make sense too, because I tried to look up where it's located on this model, and I wasn't really getting anything. It started talking about ignition coils and that kind of thing.
Right.
So maybe this model doesn't have an ignition control module.
Right.
That just popped up as some possible thing as to why you're getting power to the coils but no spark.
Right.
So I'll dig into these things and see what happens.
Sounds good, my friend. Good luck.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.